Hello and welcome to the Daily Brown Bag. Today we're going to be talking about Google testing ads in its knowledge graph. I'm Chad Hill and I'm joined by Adam Stetzer.
Yeah, good morning, Chad. Thanks everybody for joining our brown bag. We've been talking about Google as they test different advertising formats for quite a while. And more space on Google has been taken up by ads over the years. That's been well covered. We talked about this, Chad, in a brown bag, I think last month, about them testing banner ads on branded search results. And today we have some new news in this continuing saga, which is that Barry Schwartz, and this is via Search Engine Land, is reporting that Google is now testing ads in the knowledge graph. So again, another evolution, another step forward. We think, at least an indication, they're going to try some new things. These things don't always stay with us, but they're definitely playing around once again. So here's a few high-level stats to kick off this discussion this morning. An astounding amount of advertising dollars, Chad, goes to Google. That's about a third of all dollars online goes to Google, which is pretty amazing. E-marketers predicting that Google ad revenue worldwide will top $38 billion this year. And we also know that the mobile market is really heating up. Google is expected to bring in half of the $16 billion mobile ad market this year. So we're definitely seeing shifts in where the dollars are coming from. These are very, very large dollars. But we also are seeing that the growth of PC ad revenue seems to be slowing down, which has kind of been the traditional breadwinner for Google. And according to ComScore, Google's market share has been pretty much stagnant, which sounds bad, but it's been at 67%. So I guess depending on how you look at that, it's been flat, but it is still astronomically high. So they're obviously trying new things. They want to maintain their market share, if not grow it. And obviously they have shareholders and they want to bring in more dollars. So I guess the discussion this morning, Chad, is should we be surprised that Google is testing ads in their knowledge graph space?
No, I don't think so, not at all. And we have talked about this before where, we have seen the amount of space, the amount of sort of vertical space being used, the top three ads growing. And then certainly, with the knowledge graph, it is interesting they're testing. I think a lot of people thought that this was sort of sacred ground. It was a place where Google was going to be pulling in these really trusted resources, Wikipedia, and other trusted resources, and not really letting people put ads in there. But Google's a big company; they need to grow revenue, and they are facing some of the numbers you talked about. The knowledge graph is something they rolled out relatively recently, last year actually, and this is just the next movement there. So what we're seeing, and I'm sure we'll get a screenshot of that in here as we produce the video, is that there will be the knowledge graph to the right. There will be a marked ad in the bottom or contextually relevant to that knowledge graph, and Google at this point is just testing it. It's not been rolled out across the board. But I think that when you look at this, Adam, we know that Google obviously has to show a return to their shareholders. They're going to continue to test and push the limits of advertising, and this is just something that we shall expect to see continue.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you because we know their motive is ultimately for shareholder value and earnings per share, but we also know they've been extremely vocal about this, separation, the sacred ground, the difference between organic output and advertising. So it is interesting to wonder if these lines are blurring, and they seem to be. It seems like that's what's happening, and we're covering this in a lot of different areas in the industry. Native advertising. We did a webinar with 40 resellers yesterday talking about some of what we learned last week in San Francisco and how native advertising is also breaking down the barriers as print and radio and other media outlets are looking to find new ways to bring revenue for share that they've lost largely to Google over the last 10 years. So this whole topic is very, very interesting. I can understand where some of the smaller players who've lost to Google are scrambling, and the sacred ground that they might have might be giving way to advertising dollars. Google, though, has been so vocal. It does seem like there's a bit of controversy here potentially, and when Chad, you and I were talking about this before our shoot. You have to wonder what that internal dialogue at Google really is about, where they're the guys cheerleading the revenue and have the pressures from Wall Street, and then there's sort of the purists who've been evangelical about the separation of church and state, if you will, in their domain. So this is going to be a fascinating one to watch, but I think we always caution, Google tries a lot of these things just as little beta pilot tests, and then sometimes they don't come to fruition. So we don't want to jump the gun and make any overarching criticism at this point, but I do think it's fascinating, and we should stay tuned. We would welcome your comments on it. What are your feelings about native advertising, them putting ads in these parts of the output that were before sacred? We'd like to know what you think in this evolution of the ad dollars, and we hope you'll come back and see our brown bag tomorrow.